Hey, everyone. Hi. Hello. Welcome to another episode of Alice.
Hey now.
Greg, what are you doing here?
Hey, what do you mean? Allison,
Where'd you come from, Greg?
I came from the world of Childish, and I just want to make sure that your listeners know that you're just as wonderful on the other podcast you do.
What if they don't have kids?
Don't need them. You don't need them. A lot of our listeners actually tell us they don't have kids. We talk about sex.
We talk about all sorts of dirty stuff,
Yeah.
but also parenting stuff.
Yeah, so.
Check out Childish. New episodes every Wednesday, wherever you listen to podcasts.
Childish, oh shit, maybe I should have got it fixed.
Allison Rosen is your new best friend. Allison, with her good times never end. Allison Rosen, doing the wavy pencil dance again. Allison's your new best friend.
Hey, everyone. Hi. Hello. Welcome to another episode of Allison Rosen is Your New Best Friend. I am delighted to welcome back my guest, who I will bring in a moment. But first, I must catch up with Tony Thaxton, the bad boy of podcasting.
That's right.
Hello. How's it going?
It is going all right. We were talking before we started rolling about adjusting back into life, and I combine that with getting older now. And yesterday I was out a lot yesterday, and I stopped and got some lunch alone. And I sat at a bar at a place. I was like, you know what? I'll have a beer or two during my lunch. Had 2 beers with my lunch, and my day was then done at 3 p.m. And just went home and laid on the couch all night.
Yeah.
And then guess what time I got up today?
Is this under the heading of you being now? Is this more like you're a lazy sack of shit, or is it like you're really growing into old person status? Because if it's the latter, I'm going to say you got up at like 6 a.m. If it's the former, I'm going to say 11 a.m.
Well, it was more so that yes, getting older, but also just totally screwed up with just schedule and all that. So yeah, I woke up at 5 a.m. today.
Oh no!
Yeah.
And you couldn't go back to sleep.
No,
Did you do your take a shower immediately and then put your shoes on thing?
of course.
You were shod at like 5:20 a.m.
Yeah, well, and I was especially excited because brand new shoes today too.
Ooh, let me see one of those bad boys.
They're the exact same as what I had. They're just new ones.
But they're so spiffy.
Right.
Those are Chuck Taylors, right?
Leather Chuck Taylors.
I didn't even think they were leather. They looked like canvas to me.
Yeah,
but
they're
now
like-
that you pointed out, you've really gone up a few notches in my book, Tony.
The
Nice
leather
work.
ones last a little longer, I find.
So your other ones were leather too.
Yeah.
I retweeted something, and I don't normally retweet something that's just pushing people to buy something unless it has to do with me. But GQ published an article that said, looking for a new pair of burly lace-ups?
Burly lace-ups.
It was about a bunch of Doc Martens that are on sale.
Okay.
But I retweeted it and I just wrote, anyone looking for some burly lace-ups? Because I can't stop laughing at burly lace-ups.
That's a weird combination of words.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
the person who wrote that, were they saying it in a semi-joking manner?
I want to say yes, but I'm going with probably not.
I did this news story a long time ago in New York when I was doing some news stuff on the news.
Good place to do it, yeah.
Yeah, that's where I was doing it. It was a package, and it was my very first one, and I didn't really know what I was doing. And it was about these jazz nights at the Rose Center in New York. And the intro I wrote was like, oh my God, this is so embarrassing. And by the way, there's no way anyone can find this anywhere. So I don't know why I am choosing to dredge it up and embarrass myself. But it was like, what's that delicious skronk? What's that?
Wrong.
Yeah, it was just like making fun of the way jazz people talk. But like, what's that something? What's that delicious? Like, I hate when musical things are described as delicious anyway. But it just came off as me genuinely using these words.
Right.
And it sounded ridiculous.
Yeah.
So, person who wrote burly lace-ups, let me be a cautionary tale. Tony, I have 2 things to tell you.
Okay. Start with the first one.
I'll start with number 1. Thank you. Good reminder. Are you sitting down?
Yes.
I voluntarily invited insects into my home in the form of, or rather, I allowed them to come in my home because our babysitter, her mom, is all about monarch butterflies and has all these like caterpillars that turn into butterflies. This is a big popular thing that happened during the pandemic, where people would buy caterpillars or they would buy chrysalises or chrysali or whatever they are, and then like watch the life cycle of this. A lot of parents of kids I know did this and like told me where to send away, and we didn't though because, you know, I don't need more insects in my life. But anyway, she brought some over in this like mesh. It's like a milkweed plant in a mesh thing. And then there were a couple of two almost butterflies and then two caterpillars in there. And at the beginning, I was checking it so frequently to make sure the caterpillars are still in there because I don't want to find one in my bathroom.
Right.
But anyway, the butterflies hatched or came out of their chrysalis. I don't know if it's called hatching or not when it's a butterfly. But anyway, that was very cool. And I even let one crawl on my hand. And then Elliot was super into it. And then the two fat caterpillars, there was a little slit in the top, and I took some paper and put it over the top just to, in the same way that you're like, don't roofie my drink. It was like, don't think of escaping this thing.
Smart.
And then one morning they were just in these little, like, it looks like a green pill capsule just dangling from the top. And that's a chrysalis. It's the thing that they turn into a butterfly into.
Crazy.
A lot of prepositions happening. And it was like opaque green at the beginning. I'm sure that I could find a video of time lapse because it's like when I went to bed, they were caterpillars. And in the morning they were in this little capsule-y thing. So how did it happen? When and how? And then now
I'm not smart enough to give that answer.
They're like shimmying a tiny bit and it's sort of turning translucent. And apparently soon you'll be able to see the wings through there. It's quite fascinating. I didn't think I would ever say this about insects. You know where I stand on insects. I don't like them. And the other thing, big news. Then we're going to bring in the guest because I already feel guilty that I've made them wait in the green room while I share this important news. Tony, I think I'm over my hair.
Yeah, you going buzz cut?
No, I'm nothing that severe. By the way, I've had the exact same hair for a really long time. And I, like every 5 to 6 years, I'm over it and I'm thinking of cutting it, but I never do. I just feel like it's time for something new. The pandemic and also the every 5 year cycle, it's upon me.
Right.
And I'm just tired of it. And I went to some almost abusive hair people for the first many years of my life. And they would always be like, your long hair, it's not doing anything for you. It's just like a big triangle. And then, and then they would tell me they would leave it long and I would leave there with hair just a little bit past my shoulders, the length that they call long, but it's not, it's medium. Years and years this would happen. I don't see them anymore though. So now I go to people who let me keep my triangle. But today I both looking at pictures and looking in the mirror and I'm like, it is a big triangle that is not doing anything for me. So
how is it a triangle?
I just feel like I've got this teeny tiny little head and then it just, it's very flat. So I've got lack of volume happening and then it just comes down here and it's just kind of cut blunt. There's not enough layers, I guess. And it just feels like in some pictures, I just feel like it's like a real sort of elongated triangle.
All right. I literally have no idea how to respond to that.
I know. I don't expect it. Oh, I'm going to put you on the spot, though. What do you think, Tony?
What do I think? What? But if you should cut your hair?
Yes.
If that's what you
You
want?
look so scared.
I wasn't sure what the question was.
I wasn't sure what I was asking. I will accept any answer.
If you want to cut your hair, cut your hair. It's your hair. I support.
Why?
You want me to cut it? Is that what we're getting at?
I don't know, but a level of fear in your eyes, like your eyeballs are like glistening with fear, and they're very wide right now.
Look, I've had like a year and a half of no one hardly asking anything out of me, so you know.
So it's just the conversation is overwhelming. It's not specifically feeling like when a woman asks you about her hair, it's a trap.
Well, I mean, it doesn't help.
Anyway, I am overjoyed to welcome back to the podcast comedian, writer, musician, kind of a bigwig behind the scenes in Hollywood. She's giggling, but it's true. It's Eliza Skinner. Hello and welcome back.
Yay! Thank you. Thanks for having me. Got a lot of questions about your hair.
Okay, yes.
First of all, yeah, I mean, it's iconic. That's a big... You're talking about a big change here.
Yeah.
What do you see? Are you thinking bob? Are you thinking, I don't know, just not this weight? It's hot. Like,
I will tell you, and thank you for asking this important and probing question. In my mind, when I imagine myself being successful in Hollywood, and it's a vignette.
Okay.
It is a vignette
All right,
of like...
you're in a power suit? Are you on a phone on a treadmill?
No, I am going into a building and I'm pitching something successfully, and then I'm coming out and I'm waiting for them to bring my car around, and it's a clean car. It's a clean,
Inside
expensive
and
car.
outside?
I hadn't thought about the inside yet, but
Okay.
yes. But it's just me. It's mostly just about me going in or out of the office, success swirling about me. And in this vision, my hair is like, it's a few inches past my shoulders. And I think I think it is a blunt cut at that point.
Okay.
Because when I like my hair long, it looks thick and there's multiple layers happening. It's just like, ooh, look at all that hair, which I don't have all that hair, but I like the idea of like oodles of hair.
The shorter you go, the thicker your hair looks.
Right.
That's just a fact.
Yeah.
And the hair you're describing, that's still long. It's just not as long as
Correct.
your current hair.
Yeah.
I think what you could do, go a couple inches even shorter than what you're thinking of, because as we have learned in this last year, hair grows.
Yes.
Right? It's going to be where you want it to be in just a couple of months. And before that, you get to kind of play around with, oh, this is what it's like even shorter.
Maybe like a long bob. And I'm not going to
Yeah.
say a lob, but maybe.
Yeah, because I mean, that's just marketing. Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. I say try it out.
I think I have this is where my head is with this. I think I have this idea that like you can only get away with long hair till a certain age.
See, that's what they want you to think. You can keep your long
Right,
hair.
look at
Maria
Cher.
Shriver has a whole. She's like, long hair, don't care till I die. I think
Is that one of her captions?
something like that.
Yeah.
First
No,
of all,
you're right,
I'm
though.
worried that she's dead now.
No, she's alive.
Okay, and also I'm worried that she's cut her hair, and I just didn't notice. But she's.
No, I feel
seemed-
like she's alive with long hair.
Yeah, she's like talked about that, and not that Maria Shriver is important to me, but she's the first person I was like, hey, that's true.
I think she might be important to Tony though, because he knew instantly that she
That
was
she's
still
still
alive.
Oh yeah, I follow her blog.
It's called Jawline. And I think that's not fair. You can rock any look, bold lip, long hair,
All right.
your whole life.
Okay.
Do it.
Thank you. Yeah, I guess I hadn't really thought of it.
You're not retiring the hair. You're changing it.
Yeah, but I think the idea is once you go short for some reason, you never go back, and I don't really know what that is. That's just me letting them dictate what I do with my hair.
No. Yeah, that's the patriarchy.
It is the patriarchy, and it's my own internalized patriarchy.
Yeah. Also, by the way, I think Burley Lace-Ups, that's got to be a poetry MFA.
Yes.
That's someone with a poetry MFA who's like, I don't enjoy this marketing job, but I'm going to do what I can.
Right.
Or I guess writing for GQ. No, it was the tweet though, right?
It was, yes. It
may
because
or
it
may
wasn't the
not have-
headline. It was
See?
like,
There we go.
It was
Marketing.
someone who is
Yep.
getting a degree at Iowa and has taken this social media manager job at GQ.
Yep.
And is now
they like quote unquote playing with words.
Yes.
Yeah. And Tony, I am getting up so early
Yeah.
and I'm loving it. I'm on old people time.
What is your old people time schedule?
Oh, it's like 6 o'clock now.
Wow.
Yeah,
I'm
I'll be
usually
like-
like 7, but today was
Yeah.
a special.
Yeah, I'll like sleep until 7. But it's weird. And at first I was like, there's something wrong with me. And then I was like, no, you know what? I like it. I'm getting stuff done. If you get something done by 10 a.m.,
Yes.
oh my God, you can be a complete asshole the rest of the day. You can just sit around like a shitbag and you feel fine about it.
There was a period of time where I was going to sleep at 10 and getting up at like 5 or 6. And it was only because I had to, because I had a baby that demanded that at the time.
Yeah.
But I was so pretty high on life for a little. I was like, this is how they do it. This is how successful people feel. And I didn't even have my successful hair, but I felt successful. Yeah. And then by 12:30, I'd be like, I'm done.
Yeah.
I think I'm done.
Yeah, and I feel a lot more relaxed early in the morning. Like I don't feel like the
You're not
world
playing
is
catch up.
screaming at me. Yeah, and playing catch up and like, what am I even doing with myself? I'm like, well, I
Right.
have this whole day. It's so long. I got all kinds of time to
Yes.
do something with myself.
I now have to get up early because my 4-year-old just started preschool and he has to be there at 8:45. So we're getting up, I think, earlier than we need to because still trying to figure out the routine of getting out the door. But prior to that, I was sleeping in and I did wake up with this, and I'd look at my phone and there's all these emails that I've already missed. And I felt like a real asshole, but relaxed.
Yeah. I mean, there are different ways of relaxing for different people.
What time are you going to sleep if you're getting up at 6?
Oh, embarrassingly early. That's where it's bad. I'm going to bed like 9:30, sometimes 10.
I like that.
I'm just done. I don't have anything else to. I'm like, well, this is it, And then I cross my arms and I die. No, I just go to sleep. Because I realized I was staying up super late, and I'm like, for what?
Yes.
I've watched all the things. I've finished Netflix. I can just go to sleep and get good sleep, and then wake up and do stuff. It's so dorky. It's very dorky. But I like it.
David Huntsberger, who is a frequent Thursday guest on my show, described it as a power move because he's like, you're just being like, I'm ready to be done with this day.
Yeah.
And that actually goes through my mind sometimes on the nights where I decide to go to bed earlier. I'm like, you know what? I'm done.
Also, we'll see. I was waiting to get like tackled with tiredness. I'll be like up doing stuff and just waiting for sleep to be like, I gotcha. And that doesn't happen. And I found if I'm like fine and lay down in bed and like turn on a podcast or even, oh my gosh, read a book, I'm instantly tired and I fall asleep. I had no idea. I honestly did not know how to put myself to bed as an adult.
Do you feel like you're living your best life? Because what you're describing
Oh, no, I
sounds-
might be depressed.
Okay.
I could also be depressed. That could be creeping in at the edges, but this way of handling it is good.
I only laughed because I identified. I wasn't laughing at you. But
Yeah, and it's something I think when I'm like, this is great. And I'm like, is it? Am I okay? Well, I'm happy. The dog's happy. I'm getting better sleep. We're all fine.
But you're
We're all
getting
fine.
up early.
Yeah.
And I feel like depression, well, I don't want to say what depression looks like. You know yourself. But the true,
Yeah,
like
I
a
would be
more
like-
severe depression would be sleeping around the clock.
Exactly. Yeah. I think, I'm like done with the day, as you said.
How has your pandemic been?
Not awesome, but there, I think like so many people, there are things that are like, that is good. And it feels weird to be like, that was good,
Right.
while a lot of people were dying. But like, for about 6 months of it, I moved to Denver and was living with my boyfriend there, who I had started dating long distance in the pandemic. We never would have, I don't want to say never, but I don't think we would have gotten together without it. And I definitely wouldn't have had the opportunity to just leave for 6 months
Right.
and live in his house. But yeah, so that was good.
How'd you meet?
We met in comedy. He's a comedian also. So I'd known him for a long time. But then when the pandemic started, he asked me to do a weekly online role-playing game based on the Alien franchise. And so every Thursday night, we would have this little Zoom role-playing game with a bunch of people. And then we just started chatting more than that and like kind of trying to work on movie idea projects, like workaholic stuff where it's like, we're working on projects. We can't say that we're kind of dating. And then we started watching movies together over the phone.
Oh, that's so cute.
Yeah. And then finally I was like, all right, well, I think maybe we're doing this. And we couldn't really, visit and do much, but I went out there to make a haunted house he's got an old stable in his backyard, very Colorado. And I went out there to help him put together a haunted house for his daughter for Halloween.
Oh.
And because, they couldn't trick or treat. And I was supposed to be for like 2 weeks and I stayed for like 6 months.
I mean, this is like a romantic comedy.
Yeah, well, when it was overboard, honestly, without the non-consensual kidnapping
Right.
aspect. But yeah.
Did you literally stay for 6 months when you intended to go for 2 weeks?
Yeah.
Because that just the questions I have are like, but you didn't have all your stuff, and did you
not
have
have all my
plants
stuff.
that you needed care in
I had
your
a
old
cat
place?
that needed care.
So
My
what
old-
happened?
I just left a can of food out for him. No.
They're scrapply. They fend for themselves.
Yeah, he was fine. He started an MLM. He's great. No, I had a friend who was needed a place to stay. Also, she like needed to get out of her situation, and so I was like, "Hey, do you want to stay with my cat for a couple of weeks?" And then she didn't have another place to go to. She was like,
perfect.
"That'll just help me out, and then I'll figure it out." And so I kept extending it because it didn't feel like I should be going back and forth. And then the news was like things were getting worse and worse in LA, and I was like, maybe I just stay here. I don't have any reason to go back there. And he'd be like, "Yeah, do it, stay." So I would just be like, "Would you be okay with like stay another month?" And she'd be like, "Absolutely, that I'm stoked." So
What made you finally come back?
it is hard to live out of a suitcase for that long, and to just be surrounded by someone else's stuff. I mean, I love him; he's great, good stuff, but it just doesn't feel like a reflection of you.
Yeah.
And walking into my own place when I got back, I was like, "Oh yeah, this is me. These are my little posters and my magnets, and they tell the story of who I know myself to be." And in a year like this, it was like, I think especially like floaty, like, who am I? What do I do? And so I got to the point where I just needed that.
I know exactly what you mean, because I've definitely had moments of being away, like on an extended trip, and thinking like, I could just do this forever. And I kind of don't even want to go home. And then getting home and feeling something that I had forgotten I was capable of feeling, like just very, very homey. That was not very articulate. What happened? Where was Boo during all this?
Boo went with me. Boo, my dog Boo, went with me to Colorado, and my boyfriend has 2 giant huskies, so that was its own weird.
This
not
explains-
romantic comedy, but movie.
This explains the dogs that I was seeing, or I thought it was just one dog.
Yeah,
It's like the Olsen twins of dogs, right?
exactly.
Do they look very
That's
similar?
That's huskies. You know, they're not twins, but they're twins.
Yes.
Yeah.
On your social media, so I saw them.
Yeah. And it was funny because they have a huge prey drive, which is why I can't have my cat there. But they get that he's a dog, but they're so big, he'll get a little bit nervous and growl at them, and so they just sort of act like, "Who's this little weirdo? Oh my God, don't go near the couch. I think that's his now." But he also softened the rules in the house because they were not allowed on the couch. They were not allowed on the bed. But Boo was like, "I am." And they were like, what the hell? This guy gets to get up there? And so suddenly they were all over the place. I was like, well, see, you got to like him. You dogs got to like him. He's giving you privileges you didn't have before him.
How does your boyfriend feel about this loosening of the rules?
He's fine with it. I mean, he refers to himself as a husky butler. Like they already ran the house. It was like the last vestige of, okay, not on the couch. And
Right.
now, yeah, one of them just like they'll take the beds, and it's not like my dog is little. And so like when he's like in the middle of the bed and it's like, "Oh, I could scooch him to the side." A husky? Nope.
Yeah.
No, you're like, I guess I'd sleep
on the
outside.
couch.
I don't know where I'm going to be tonight.
Tony, does Bentley have rules?
Yeah. I'm trying to like think of specific. I let him on the couch. I try to not let him jump off of the couch, just because Frenchies can be known to have a lot of
bad
like hip
backs.
problems and back problems. Yeah. But he tends to slip down before I can do anything about it, though, a lot. So that's I feel like that's the main one I've tried. I considered not letting him on the couch, but it's too hard to like. I'm like, I want to. That's half the reason I got a dog. Is a little
Couch
time on the
buddy.
couch.
Yeah, people are like, "Don't let us sleep in the bed," and I'm like, I got a dog. That's what he's for.
Right.
So no.
Yeah.
He rolls in other dogs' pee all day, and then I let him in my bed. What's the problem?
Yeah. With our first dog, we didn't let him sleep in our bed, although there were a few times that I did, but for the most part, we didn't. And then with Wendy, from the second she got here, actually, I think maybe we tried for a
she's
second.
a spaniel.
But yeah.
That's what they're for.
Yes. So that's the thing is like, I just love it. It's so nice.
They're bred to be cuddle
Yeah.
bugs. Yeah, Boo
Totally.
is supposedly part spaniel, part
yeah?
Pomeranian. Yeah, which is part of why I was interested in him, because I was like, I want somebody who's going to hang out, and watch TV with me.
He's so
That's
cute.
what I do.
When did you get him?
I got him February 21st, so right before the pandemic last year, which a lot of people were like, hey, you planned that great. And I'm like, if you think I planned this, you should all be very
Lot of
upset with me.
questions.
Yeah, I did not plan this. I just like, I made Earth to Ned last year, and which is the Disney show that I was running. And then I did the Independent Spirit Awards. And
Emmy nominated. Congratulations.
Thank you. And in between the two, I did Freestyle Love Supreme on Broadway. And so I'd been busy. And then I was like, I'm going to take a little bit of time off. I'm going to figure out what I want to do next. I think I've like got enough job security in general that I'll be able to make enough money to pay to take care of a dog. So I think I can finally do it. So I got the dog. And then the whole world was like, you should stay home with him forever. So that's what I've been doing.
But you were saying that he is handling you leaving him better than you expected?
No, worse. Well, I mean, I don't know. Like everybody's like, oh, my dog is so upset that I'm like, he doesn't love it that I leave. I am not good about it. I feel like nervous when I'm not with him because I'm so used to being with him.
What are you nervous about?
That he's going to die while I'm not there.
I have had this fear before. Like, this dog is going to choke on her toy.
Yep.
Or
Yeah.
something like that.
Yeah, he's going to find something that I didn't like. He'll find some like dropped needle and try to eat it and die,
Yeah.
and I'll come home to
You
just
should
a dog
stop
corpse.
dropping needles.
I can't help it. That's what I juggle needles.
I know.
I'm going to
It's your
start a
bread and
TikTok.
butter.
Yeah, it's a big deal for me. But yeah,
Is he confined at all or no?
no, and that's what my boyfriend is like. Just get him a crate. You won't freak out so much. And I'm like, I like it. I'm fine.
Or even like a puppy gate. I don't know how high he
Yeah.
can jump, but there you could
Not very
gate or
Yeah,
something like that.
I could. I should. I will. They're just aesthetically.
I know. It's not ideal.
Yeah, it's not my look, but I'll see if I can find some well-designed ones.
They say, the dog trainers say, that a dog prefers having a smaller area
Yeah,
because they
they
don't
like their little
feel
spot.
responsible for the whole place. But I don't know.
Yeah.
It's also similarly like it's more humane to neuter and spay them, which I'm fully on board with. However, I have always felt like, well, let's get a dog's opinion because they might not be so on board with this.
Yeah, I mean, I think who knows? I mean, it's all imagination, and as far as that goes. But I do kind of feel like I thought about this a bunch with cats because I had a cat that we adopted in college, and we didn't get her spayed because we're stupid college kids and we didn't know what to do, and she started going into heat and we were like, oh no, we got to do something about this, and then got her spayed. And I was like, oh man, that was a nice thing to do for her because she seemed unhappy. She just like, when she was in heat, she was just like, I want something and I don't know what it is, but I want it real bad. And I think any of these dudes you guys bring over to the house might have it. And we're like, oh no. So it felt like it was just like, oh, she didn't have to worry about whatever this is that she didn't even totally understand, I don't think. So
The pathos of this cat needing this thing.
Yeah,
This thing being to be impregnated, yes?
well, I mean, I don't know. I don't know if it really thought that far, but to be railed, yeah. Yeah. She'd she'd like roll around on the ground and be like, oh yeah. Oh. And seriously, especially when dudes would come over.
That's so interesting.
And
And upsetting, sort of.
yeah, I had a friend from college who I was talking about it like a year or two ago with me, and he was like, yeah, I remember coming over and trying to have a conversation with you, and you and your cat was just like being pornographic on the ground next to us. I'm like, yeah, I guess we were just sort of used to it. But we did end up getting her spayed.
What happened to that cat?
She lived with one of my roommates for the rest of her life after we all graduated, and had a nice little cat old age, and then went into the great beyond.
Well,
She was always scared of bathrooms. Yeah. Pants. Her name was Pants.
Oh, Pants. So was her litter box not in a bathroom then?
No, yeah. I think we had it like in the hallway or like under the stairs or something.
So speaking of bathrooms, can I ask you about the whole slip and slide thing?
Oh boy.
Do you not want to talk about it?
Sure, yeah, I'll talk about it. I mean, I think technically my NDA is like about the like creative of the show, not about
The canceling of it.
yeah, what
because
happened
of
to
diarrhea.
well, yeah, Giardia, yeah.
I have to admit, and I'm not proud, I was not aware of this whole thing, but I did look at your social media and I saw lots of tweets. And then I was talking to Greg Heller, who he thinks you're just the bee's knees.
Oh, I think he's great. Too.
And I said that I'm talking to Eliza Skinner today, and he's like, "Are you going to ask her about blah, blah, blah?" And I said, probably, I don't know what this is. I don't know the story though. And he's like, if someone could say this through text, it was like, "Oh my God, where have you been? How did you not know? It went viral.
Yeah.
It was trending, da da da." So then I Googled. So now I'm up on it.
yeah.
But
I don't
anyway.
think I know this.
Oh my God. Should we call Greg and have him shame you? Oh my God. Tony, don't you even have eyes or ears? Are you even on Twitter? Maybe your trending function is not working. Oh my God. It was viral. Oh my God.
I'm just like Greg. It's crazy.
Oh my God. I can't do his voice, but oh my God, dude.
Perfect.
Yeah. So fill us in.
Okay, so there's a show called Ultimate Slip and Slide being made for NBC, and halfway through the production of it, it had to be paused and then eventually like shut down, and that location got entirely wrapped because so many of the crew members came down with Giardia. They still have not figured out where that came from.
Is that like it's a microscopic parasite that causes diarrhea, right?
Yeah. Intestinal distress, including diarrhea. And yeah, I didn't get sick from it, but leading up to it, it was like a lot of people really, really sick. And it's, they had like fevers and it was scary. They were like really freaked out. So all the articles that were like, explosive diarrhea. And like with the bad photo, the Photoshops that those articles used, people have referred to as photos to me. They were like, "Really?" Because from the photos, it looked like they were slipping around a diarrhea. Like, no, that's not what happened. That never happened. It was just like a bunch of sick people on a set, and their jobs got taken away from them.
It sucks. I read that people were collapsing. Is that true?
I didn't see that, but I was also in my writer's trailer the whole time, which was why I, didn't. Probably is why I didn't get sick.
Right.
But definitely nothing happened on any of the slides or in any of the water. And they tested like everything, couldn't really figure out where it was. They didn't find it in any of the like obvious places.
What I read, but again, like maybe people were collapsing. I don't know. But when I read that, I was like, that sounds exaggerated. But that initially everything tested negative, but then some further test did come back positive of the water. I don't know.
They found it in surrounding areas of
What does
the
that even
set.
mean?
So we were shooting out on this like big ranch
In Ventura, right?
Simi Valley. Yeah. So it was so someplace in that like and it's out there is really hot and dusty and windy, and so anything that's on the ground is blowing around in the air.
Yeah.
So it's as far as I know, they haven't really figured it out. And like the show actually is not canceled. I don't know what is happening with it. But I know that the people who are making it like cared a lot about it and are trying to see if something can be done. Cause it's hosted by Bobby Moynihan and Ron Funches. It's like got a lot of funny
Sounds really
stuff
cool.
in it. Yeah, it's just like, and I don't think that it's a result. I mean, I feel like I'm like a spokesperson for it. I don't know, but it's like I don't think there was like a negligence thing, at least not on the part of the producers. As far as I don't know. I don't want to be some sort of corporate shill, but like,
Well, it doesn't sound like it.
so yeah, I think it was just sort of like a freak thing that sucked really bad.
Yeah.
Talking to some of the other people at the time, they were freaked out. And especially, with COVID happening. And
Right.
We're being COVID tested every 3 days and we're getting our temperature checked when we walk in. It's just like, it's a hair trigger for everybody, any kind of sickness.
So it's not, because I think it's being reported as if it has been canceled.
They're not moving forward. It's not in production now. But I think, I don't know, maybe it's just like the term canceled is for shows that have been on the air. But
you think it might happen again. You don't
that
know.
part I can't speak
Right.
to. I have no idea. But I know that like it's not a disaster. I mean, it was a disaster, but like creatively.
Right. And you were a head writer?
No, I was just a writer on that.
So what kinds of stuff were you writing? Like coming up with, it's like a big,
Well, that part
a bunch
I
of ga-
actually
Oh, you can't talk about.
about.
Okay. Well, then let's talk about this. You tweeted something that I thought was so good, and I feel like I should have a better word than good for it, but so spot on about, and I'm now going to paraphrase you, about how butt stuff is funny, farts and poops and all that, and we're always going to laugh at that. However, there's like a lot of serious diseases that involve that region.
Yeah.
And it was just a good reminder.
Yeah, and I mean, as I said in my tweet, it is fundamentally funny. Farts are very funny. Poop is very funny, but diseases aren't necessarily. And like, I'm biased. I have ulcerative colitis, which is a lot like Crohn's.
Oh, I didn't know you have that.
Yeah, so it's something that like I am particularly sensitive to. But as I said, I love making a fart joke. I love doing a poop parody, which is when you parody any song with mostly the word poop. But yeah, and I don't know. I think people know that also though, because when I talk about my illness, people are always like, "Oh, that's awful." They're not like, "Ew, gross, dude, yuck, get out of here." But just seeing the response to those slip and slide posts and from so many people, the same joke, that I'm like, come on, guys, you do better. Because a lot of, like, most people I follow are people in the industry. And so I'm like, first of all, you guys should be writing better jokes. You should notice that this joke has been around. And second of all, you've all been on sets. Like, that means a grip is not only out of a job, but sick.
Yeah.
I mean, at least we've got good unemployment right now. And I don't.
I also thought your tweet about before you make a joke about Bill Cosby, think, is your joke funnier than 60 women being raped is sad?
Yeah.
Or again, I put it in my own words, but
that was pretty much it. Yeah. That like, I'm not somebody who says you can't I think you can make a joke about anything. I truly do. I just don't think that you can make any joke about anything.
Right.
From like my personal rules are, if you're making a joke about someone or someone's a type of person's circumstance that is not the type of person you are, it needs to be a joke that you could say to that person, that type of person's face. I would like for my audience to have everybody in it. So if I'm going to tell a joke about like gay dudes, I'm not a gay dude. I don't have jokes about gay dudes, but this is a thought experiment. If I was going to tell a joke about gay
I'm going to
dudes,
go on this journey.
I would want it to be a joke that I could say to a gay dude that would make him laugh. That's my thing. And as far as painful subjects, I mean, that's a really difficult bar. And I think at least something being funny, very, very funny, gets you close to that bar. Like, if you can break someone down with laughing at a situation, then that breaks through their pain. That's what it is. Like, cut through the pain with humor. Don't poke at the pain with humor.
Right. Have you ever had people take issue with your jokes?
Well, I have taken issue with. I've definitely updated jokes and removed things that I'm like, oh, I should not say that. That's not my word to use, or this is in bad taste, or whatever. I had somebody come up to me once after a show, right after Trump was elected. I was doing like this ranty chunk about like how hard it is being someone who fucks dudes. Is it okay if I say dudes on the podcast? Is that someone who fucks dudes? I was like, as a person who's attracted to men, it's very difficult right now like the idea of having sex with them, like, oh, did you come? Oh, did something nice happen for you? Oh, wow, great. How nice for you. Like, I don't want to do that. I've got a fundamental problem with that right now. And this guy came up to me afterwards and was like, hey, I just wanted to let you know that you should acknowledge that the people who are attracted to men are not all women. And I was like, but that's what I did. I said people who are. So that was the only time I've been approached after a show.
And he was wrong.
Yeah. And I'm almost like, did he get that because I made that because I worded it that specifically? Like,
Right.
did it like point out to him?
Do you get the sense? Was he gay?
I don't know if he was gay or bisexual. I kind of got the sense that it was something that
Because
was personally
sometimes-
important to him. But
Right.
I also felt like, well, how come you didn't hear my actual words then?
I feel like, and now I'm talking about not myself, but I think that sometimes with something where someone, it is very personal to them, and generally they have faced a lot of insensitivity, they just have this stance of like, I need to educate people. And like, so he might not have really been hearing you.
Yeah. Or even just like being seen.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. But ironically,
But again, that's not about you.
no. Yeah. But yeah, that's the only time I've ever had anybody be like, hey, that thing? Nope.
Yeah.
But yeah, I've definitely had ones that I'm like, oh boy. Because, when you're starting out, you're just like, how can I make this audience make a noise? I want to make them make noises at me. And so you try all kinds of stuff. And you're also used to making your friends laugh. And usually the bar with your friends is not only a lot lower, but a lot more permissive. Like your friends will laugh at something and then be like, yuck, dude, don't do that again. I hate that you just said that, but it made me laugh. And an audience might not do that. An audience might be like, hey, I don't know that you're a nice person. We haven't
Right.
been to 7-Eleven together. We never went on a camping trip. Fuck you for saying that,
Yeah. So I didn't know this, that you worked on a show that was on Broadway.
Well, I did a couple performances on it.
What was it?
Freestyle Love Supreme. It is it's an improvised rap show produced by Lin-Manuel Miranda. And a
Oh,
couple
that's
other
so
people.
cool.
Yeah, it's a group that it's an improv group that he's been in for like 15 years or something. And I know a lot of those guys from way back, and then they got a Broadway run in, I guess, 2019. And yeah, after I finished Earth to Net, I went back and jumped into it. They're coming back to Broadway this fall. And then, yeah, so.
That's so cool.
Yeah, it
And your
was,
sister's a Broadway performer, right?
Yeah, it was weird. My
Was she
sister
like, stay in your lane?
No. Because this very much is my own lane. Like,
Right.
she's being a Broadway performer does not mean that you can freestyle rap. You can improvise rap on Broadway. It's the very specific skill. But yeah, when I auditioned for it, she was just up the street in her own Broadway theater, and so that was kind of
What was she
weird.
doing?
She was doing the Cher show. She played Cher's mom.
Oh, that's so cool. So can we circle back to something
Okay.
that I am wondering about with your relationship? So you guys struck up the relationship over Zoom.
Yeah.
How, before you were in person with each other, how was it discussed or not discussed that you guys both had an interest in each other?
Like you do with like, I like you, that kind of
So you
stuff.
had talked about it.
Yeah. And he started being like, do you want to like meet in the middle and go on a trip or something? And I'm like, this isn't just like pals stuff.
Right.
You don't like meet in the middle and go on a trip with some girl you're pals with. And also, I'd heard from friends.
Oh,
that
did someone pass you a note?
Yeah, I got passed a note. But before I went out and saw him, I was like, hey, so what if we what if we see each other in person? What if we smooch and it's like snakes? It's like, oh no, that's fundamentally upsetting to me. I'm not into this. And he was like, that's a very weird way to put it.
It is. I had some questions about it because I didn't know if you meant like it's like I'm kissing a snake or it's like two snakes kissing, but you mean it's like you've been exposed to a snake.
Yeah, like a human's reaction to a snake.
Right.
Like we're not like, I don't like that because of the teeth that are going to bite me. We're just like, no, no, it moves wrong. It is wrong. Mm-hmm. So that sort of thing. Like, I'm like, what if it's like that? And he's like, I don't know. I don't think it will be. And I'm like, okay, I'm holding out though. I am reserving that as a possibility.
Yeah.
I'm not sold until, we smooch in real life.
But then it wasn't snaky.
It wasn't snaky. No, it was fine.
What a relief.
Yeah. Yeah. I was a little worried when he came to pick me up from the airport, me and Boo up from the airport. He was like, I'm in the car with the kayak racks on top. And I texted my friend and was like, he's got fucking kayak racks on top of his car. What am I doing? Why am I with the guy with kayak racks? And she's like, it's fine. He's good. I've kayaked. And I was like, I have kayaked, but I don't have kayak racks. It's just a different type of person.
I think you have to have kayak racks if you live in Denver. It's
Yes.
the rule. You have to have some kind of rack.
Yeah. Well, I was there all through the winter and he kept being like, we could maybe kayak today. And I was like, you could. I'm not going to kayak.
Does he drive a Subaru?
No, but that is
Popular
very
Colorado car.
popular in Colorado. He drives another car. I'm like, I can't tell you the make of this car.
Is his license plate? Just kidding.
But it's basically the Subaru model of a different type of car.
Oh.
Like, yeah, they all have that.
I don't think I know enough about outdoorsy vehicles, but that's okay. I'll let it be a mystery. And then one day I'll be like, that's what she was talking about. Speaking of things I'm talking about, Allison Rosen is Your New Best Friend is sponsored by BetterHelp Online Therapy. As we begin to see the light at the end of the COVID tunnel, a lot of people are still feeling down and emotionally out of sorts. We talked at length about that before this show started and a little bit during the show. We're all feeling that way. You may not feel depressed or at a total loss, but if you're feeling a little bit off or your relationships are suffering, that could be a sign you should talk to somebody. Online therapy can help. BetterHelp is not a crisis line. It's not self-help. It's professional therapy done securely online. So this is great. I know so many people who are doing BetterHelp and who are really happy with their therapist. If you don't like the first therapist they match you with, you can change as many times as you want, no extra charge. So you don't have to feel like, I'm nervous. And by the way, feeling nervous before you start therapy, I believe is very common. I know that I certainly felt that way. So that's normal, but you don't have to feel like, oh, what if I don't like the person? They'll get you to the right person. BetterHelp is more convenient and more affordable than in-person therapy, and financial aid is available. Our listeners get 10% off their first month at BetterHelp.com/bestfriend. That's BetterHelp, BetterHelp.com/bestfriend, BetterHelp.com/bestfriend. I also want to tell you about a skincare line that I love, before they were even a sponsor on the show, I'd heard of them via Jackie Johnson, and they are called Osea, and they have really great products. I am enjoying I'm just bragging. I have 4 Osea products, you guys, but I specifically want to tell you about the Undaria algae body oil. They refer to it as liquid gold. It's really luxurious and rich, but it's not greasy. In fact, a listener, when I mentioned it the first time, wrote in and she's like, and it's like my holy grail oil. I put it on after every shower. But I was sort of nervous about an oil, even though they're very popular right now. Cause I thought, well, what if I am greasy afterwards? But it really dries quickly. It has this, really nice citrus fragrance. It's just great. Osea's Undaria algae body oil instantly moisturizes and replenishes dry skin, leaving every inch silky smooth. And Osea creates skin and body care products powered by the sea. They've made clean, safe skincare products since 1996, vegan and cruelty-free. You can try Osea risk-free for 30 days and get free shipping on orders over $50. They even send free samples with every order, and get 10% off your first order with my promo code Allison at OseaMalibu.com. That's 10% off with code Allison at Osea Malibu. OseaMalibu.com. OseaMalibu.com. All right. So you are currently about to host your own late night one night, late night. Tell me about this.
Yes. It's a show called Your Late Night Show, I believe.
Yeah.
And it's, on the 16th
Of July.
July. So next Friday. I'm doing my Your Late Night Show. And yeah, I'm excited about it. I always wanted to have a late night show. I've written on tons of different types of late night shows. So it's exciting to do it myself. And one of the things that I guess a hallmark of my projects, I don't know if this is, maybe it's universal, just getting a lot of my own friends involved. I feel like if I have people that I love working on it and appearing in it, then it's going to be a product that at least I love and that I think other people will too. And
so have you announced who the other people you're going to be interviewing on the show?
I haven't, but I'll tell you, Aparna Nancherla is my guest.
Cool.
And we'll have a few other little cameo bits. I think I could say, Brian Henson, Yasser Lester, that's probably who I can.
Is Brian Henson
sure.
John Henson's?
Jim Henson's.
John Henson. John Henson comes on my show sometimes. Jim Henson, I mean.
Yeah.
His son?
Yes, his son.
How cool. So you know him from Earth to Ned, right?
Yeah. And he directed Muppet
Christmas Carol.
Muppet Christmas Carol, I believe. Yeah, and Treasure Island. And he was actually Audrey 2 in the original movie
Little Shop of Horrors. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
Yeah, so I'm excited. And my friend Ross Bryant wrote on it, Lisa Curry, Maggie May, Keith Carey. And they're all so funny. And just I'm very honored to have all these fun people.
How cool.
Willing to do dumb stuff with me.
So I have had a conversation with one of the producers of this show, and he said what they want to do is in the same way that SNL has an actor host a comedy show, they want to take comedians and have them host a late night show.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, I think they may be deferring to me a little bit more than they would normally because I have been the head writer of late night shows before and I've written on a lot of late night shows. But it's also when your name is on the show, when it's the you show, I mean, you've got this show, you need to like everything in it. It's kind of a representation of you. So it's hard to be I don't think that's funny, but you do, so we'll do it anyway. I'm at this point in my career, I'm not that generous. I mean, I'll try to make your idea into something I do think is funny. We'll bat it around, but if I just don't, I'm not gonna do that.
What percentage of things that get pitched do you think are funny on this project? Gosh, a really high percentage. I would say 80%. Maybe and you think that's because you put the team together?
Yeah, I think so. And the producers said that they attributed it also to the information that I gave them. You write a little document. Some people use more visuals. I just pretty much wrote out here's my philosophy on late night. Here's the stuff that I like. Here are specific artists that are influences on me in specific areas. Blah. Do what you will with all of this. And everybody kind of attacked that in different ways. And the more people knew me, the more they could fill in the gaps and really pitch to that. But everybody, even the people I was just sort of meeting for the first time, really mined that document. And that's really the fundamental thing you have to do when you're writing for somebody. And a lot of people don't. It's kind of shocking how that's the thing that people don't get, that they're okay, I'm writing for this person, but here's what I think is funny.
Right.
And it's it doesn't matter. I mean, cool. And if you get your own show sometime, awesome. Develop those ideas, but that's not what the job is here. And for all of my frustrations with late night shows and writing for hosts and writing for things that I was not in charge of, I at least have always had a pretty easy time with that line, with having on one side of the line, these are the things that I think are funny and want to put into my work. And on the other side, this is the stuff that this person thinks is funny. And that's what I have to work on.
Right. But your document didn't really, am I right that your document didn't lay out what you think is funny as much as like sort of your philosophy of what is funny?
Yeah, I mean, it laid out like areas that I'm interested in, and types of stuff that I would like to include and fold into it, and yeah, definitely my philosophy on late night, which in some of the other documents I saw, that's not really something people have done. But again, that's like
they gave you examples.
Yeah, but it's like, you know, if you have a chef who's worked at restaurants before, they're like, yeah, I don't make omelets that way.
Yeah.
And here's why.
Right.
So I have certain things that I was like, oh, like for instance, I think that like I don't like any kind of mean stuff or any kind of like pranks or anything. I feel like my gig is to make people happy, express myself, but also make people happy. And I want an audience that likes watching people be made happy. I don't like
mean-spirited.
Yeah, and even like there's versions of pranks that I don't know, people don't think of as mean-spirited. Your Ellen kind of stuff. You're like
what? I didn't watch her show enough to know what kind of pranks.
Well, she would just like make celebrities uncomfortable, but they would be like, "Oh, Ellen," but it's like you're still making them uncomfortable.
Like dropping a spider down. Was
that kind of stuff.
Someone did that on some show.
Sure, or even like
Kimmel does some of that.
Even I was like, why do I hate the idea of man on the street stuff? Because I don't like the idea of running up to somebody on the street. I don't think that they're like, yay, a stranger. I think they're like, no, and
man on the street. Good man on the street stuff typically is mocking the person that's being interviewed.
Exactly.
Like that's what makes it funny.
Exactly. Or at best, you're sort of like, it's sort of like kids say the darndest thing.
Yeah.
Like, oh, they said something that made sense. Do you believe it? Look at them.
I mean, also it is usually self-deprecating or you're kind of laughing. Like, I can't believe he said that, but still.
Yeah. And for late night monologues, I don't see the point of a late night monologue at this point. Every current event thing has been chewed up by social media all day long. Every joke that you want to make about something has been made by 4:00 when all of these shows tape.
Right.
So why do we need to see it done again? But it's such a holdover.
Yeah.
I don't understand. And I'd like the idea of a monologue in terms of like saying hello to the host and hello to the audience and welcoming them into the show. Right. Yeah, but
right, like telling your producer about some insects that are in your house or your hair.
Sure,
or something.
Yeah.
Stuff.
Well, I mean, I feel like you're doing kind of a thing where it's like you're letting people watch you or listen to you have a conversation. You're not like, "Hi, listener, I'm talking to you," but you're like, "You're allowed. You're a fly on the wall between me and Tony." And those are both like things that people like. I think. Yeah, it's like voyeuristic almost, being like, I'm listening to people talk to each other. And that's what we're doing too, right? So, I don't know. That went nowhere. But
what did you think of, I think a lot, that's an exaggeration. Sometimes I think about Pete Holmes' decision to do a monologue that's not topical. Do you remember that? Did you watch the show? And my sense of it was always like, it's funny, but I as I don't know, maybe not as a viewer, but as a viewer who has an interest in all this, I am stressed out thinking, how are you going to keep coming up with stuff by, like, it'd just be so much easier to do topical.
Well, I think that may be I would be surprised if regular people felt that way. I think that may be a Hollywood reaction. But you're right.
No, you're right though, because it is me imagining myself in that situation, running out of stuff.
Because also that is what Ellen did for years. Her monologue was, what if the other day squirrels did this to my garage, and people fucking loved it. But
my millipede stuff is similar. My millipede material.
Well, people love it.
Oh my God. Well, it's because of the thunderous reaction to my termite stuff that then,
Yes.
Oh, by the way, you did. I feel like this is a thing people know. It's no longer a fun fact, but butterflies, they don't like sprout. They're total liquid inside those chrysalises.
I'd read that.
Yeah.
That's so weird. And gross.
Yeah.
They turn into goo.
They
like
turn
there's
into
an
total
enzyme
goo.
that goos them up.
But you can teach the. Okay, you know all this.
I know, but say it. It's so
you can
cool.
You can teach caterpillars things like kind of Pavlovian responses,
Right.
like you ring a
Like
bell
to
and that's
avoid
where the
something,
food
yeah.
is. Yeah. And the butterfly will still know that.
Right, but only if they're taught like recently.
Yeah.
Like which by the way,
How
it's-
long is the life of
But
it?
also it's like cool enough that you can train a caterpillar to begin with.
Yeah.
Cuz I was wondering, well, if they totally liquefy or turn into goo and then become a butterfly, like is it the same creature?
Yeah, it's not like there's like a little brain sitting
Yeah.
there in the goo. It's
But there's-
all goo.
But there is something that persists because
The soul.
it's
The soul of a caterpillar.
Right, because they do remember stuff. Mm-hmm. Fascinating.
Yeah.
I did Google this story. But
also
back to the topical,
yes,
non-topical.
so the topical and I think you can have like generally topical, like again going back to Ellen. I'm talking about Ellen like I like watched it or care about Ellen a lot. But I do think daytime talk shows are the same as nighttime talk shows with a different color palette and often with female hosts. But besides that, Ellen is a late night show. It's just on during the day and it's pastels and white. But her monologues were like kind of topical to her life. Like she'd be like, or she would at least set them up this way. Like, we were doing this. I had this happen. This package got delivered, like whatever. And I think people do want it to be like the thing that I do like about late night shows is that it is happening on the same day that the audience is existing in.
Yeah.
Like you're all existing on this day and that's the day that it happened, which gets it kind of close to theater, which I very much enjoy. And so I think that a monologue still needs to do that. It needs to be of the world of that day. So it doesn't need to be like, did you see this? Did you see Taco Bell's got a new thing on the menu? People are going crazy for, but it can be like we were talking about, like, okay, so we're getting back into society and that's feeling kind of weird. Where are we at with that? Or like overall trends, overall feelings, that sort of stuff. I think there's totally room for that.
Yeah. Is there anything in the preparation for your specific late night show that because you have so much experience in late night, you're just like, no, you guys are going about this. I'm not talking about like rejecting an idea, but like process wise, like I feel like you guys are doing this wrong, or I've seen it done a little better.
Writing software. People always think you got to have your final draft or some sort of like online version of it. Like it needs to be formatted like a script. In my experience, nobody does that at all in late night. In the type of shows that I usually make are considered unscripted. They are very scripted, but they're not. They should be called non-narrative. So in these non-narrative shows, your comedy variety, your talk shows, you don't use the final draft. You just write it in fucking Word and then you send it to a script department. The script department formats all of that so that it can go into prompter. If you're not doing all of that, you don't need to have it written like a movie script. That's going to make all these pages. It's like a lot more fuss that you just really don't need. So that was one thing when they were like, here's the software. I'm like, I'm just going to write it Word. That you don't need to do that. Nobody does that. But people think like, this is the professional software. I should do this to be professional.
Right. And this is a virtual show, right? So people can just watch it from their homes.
Yeah, it's streaming.
And where do they go to get tickets? I will put a link in the episode summary because I
Cool,
actually
thank
have it.
you.
But do you, off the top of your head,
Yeah,
know?
it's on Nowhere.
Right, Nowhere Comedy. That's
yeah.
is that Ben Gleib's?
I don't know.
I think that's Ben Gleib and Steve Hofstadter's comedy
Cool.
setup.
Well, I'm
Their
happy
virtual
to be
comedy
on
thing.
it.
Yeah. That's very cool. I think we should take some questions that listeners sent in. Let me see what we have.
When we ask, they send them in. They're wondering how you have been. So thanks so much for answering these questions from our fans.
All right. So I typically take questions on Patreon, sometimes on Twitter, but this time I was even more targeted. So so I'm on Patreon.
Ah.
Patreon.
You're going to leave the blah in there, aren't you?
Of course.
Please do. Okay.
That's what the listeners want.
Raw Tony. I'm on Patreon. Bonus episodes. What did you mean to play?
No, I was Patreon. I was trying to do that again, and the window wasn't open, and then it just went boom.
Weekly bonus episodes, Zoom parties, and there's a level where you can text me and I'll text you back. And I took questions over text this time.
Whoa.
That's right. Okay. Let's see here. Whitney Chandler wants to know, what was the last time she was in physical pain? What was it, and how did she solve the problem?
Whoa. This today, I came in from walking my dog and opened a sparkling water, and I drank it just as like a burp was coming up.
I hate that.
Yeah, and it felt like I got stabbed right in the middle of my
Yes.
chest, and I was like, and I like stood up on my tiptoes and was like, no. It was awful. It was, and it almost is like akin to that like panic attack feeling where you're like, I'm gonna die. And
Yeah.
I was like, no, it's not. And I waited it out, and I was fine. So that wasn't like teeth being ripped out pain, but it did really hurt.
What is that? Is it
don't
the
know.
feeling of air being forced back down?
I'm assuming it's like two different gas bubbles, one going up and one going down, because
'Cause it
there's
does-
gas in the sparkling water.
It does feel like being stabbed.
It's awful.
Yeah. It's almost like, I wonder if like something is spasming when that happens. Tony, do you know what we're talking about?
I'm not sure I've experienced
Oh
this.
boy.
Consider yourself among the lucky.
I mean, I'll get to the point where I give myself what I like to call seltzer poisoning, where I've drunk so much seltzer, I get like a weird little cough and I get like a bubble that just sort of sits right there. And like, you should drink regular water. I got one of those huge water bottles. Have you seen these?
It's
these
like a
maneuvers?
gallon.
You seen these things?
like the gallon size
gallon
water. I
that
ordered
has-
one and then I returned it because I was
That
like,
was
I
the right move.
can't. I'm not gonna. I don't like water to begin with.
Me
so.
neither. That's the thing. And I'm like, I got to do it. So the problem is it's got motivational phrases all the way up. And I'm like, that's stupid. But I did it for a few days and I was like, oh no, I feel so much better than I've
Really?
ever felt in my life. Yeah,
no.
it was a huge bummer because I don't like water either. I'm a child. I like Coke Zero and juices and seltzers. Anyway, sorry.
No, I need to know more about this because I
You
don't
just
like
sit
water.
it. You sit it down.
You
It's got-
drank like the whole big old, the big ass thing.
Yeah, it's got a straw that goes down to the bottom of it, so you don't have to like pick it up and tip it. Because that I was like, how
gonna
does
be too
anybody
heavy.
drink
You're
out
gonna
of this?
throw
This
your
is,
back out.
this is
Yeah.
ridiculous. It's going to go all over. It's like loading up a water cooler in an office, but
Right.
you're trying to drink it. But yeah, no, it's just it's a little straw that like, and it springs in and out, so that's kind of fun to play with. It's like boink boink.
Okay,
Out of
good.
the little hole in the top.
I'm listening.
And yeah, you just like sit it down and you drink it, and like you could sip on it from time to time. It's marked in every 2 hours, so like you could just every 2 hours drink
And it's
like
like, "You go,
basically
girl."
a bottle. Yeah, it's like, look at you go. You're so hydrated, almost there. You can see the finish line. And I'm like, ugh, I hate this, but also I feel way better than
Just
ever.
go, girl. Interesting that you felt so much better.
Yeah,
Like, what kind of better?
Just like I slept better and I felt more alert the next day and not foggy, and yeah, my gut thing was a lot better, and yeah, all of it.
This is the worst thing I've ever heard. Because
Yeah,
all
I looked good. My face looked less bloated.
really, all I drink is this, these flavored waters, and it's not. It's worse than seltzer actually because it has artificial sweetener in it. But that's like all like in the middle of the night. That's what I drink pretty much. I had a few days there of like weird. I crave water. I think I'm dying.
Yeah, they say when you crave water, that means you're already dehydrated. It's already too late for you.
Yeah, but now I'm back to this after my 2 days of trying to be a water drinker. Interesting. What kind of seltzers do you like, though?
These days, I'm into the 365s because they come in a huge container. Like instead of getting like a 12 pack, it's like an 18 is the standard, and they've got a ginger flavor. I like that. Besides that, at this point, I've been around the world.
Right.
And
LaCroix,
I
bubbly.
can't find my baby, and I have come back to just a lime 365 seltzer. So
what do you
boring.
go? What do
It
you
was good.
reach for in the middle of the night if you're thirsty?
I do. I'll get a seltzer.
Okay.
Because they're cold and then they're in the refrigerator. And what am I going to get a glass out in the middle of the night? Come
Well,
on,
you
no
could do
way.
like a water bottle or something, but that's just
Yeah,
It's so it tastes so much like water. I don't like it.
Yeah, no. I and also by having it by having like a can of seltzer, I'm like, well, that's a good amount. There we go, a whole can of it. As opposed to some unknowable amount in a cup.
Right.
Or bottle? No.
You don't need that kind of vagueness in your life.
Exactly.
Well, wait, a bottle you would know how much that is.
Well, yeah, but I don't have like bottled water.
Right.
at
Oh, are you
home.
anti-single use plastic? It's a good way to be.
I'm not really, but I live in a house. I mean, I guess sure I am.
It's a
But
stand you've taken.
I live in a house that's up. I have to walk up 60 stairs to get to my house.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, so it's silly enough that I haul pallets
18
of cans
yeah.
up there, but water, I'm like, that comes out of the tap, and I don't have to bring it up the stairs.
Listen.
Get yourself a soda stream.
You know what? I have one, and I stopped. First of all, in the pandemic, it was hard getting the refills.
Yeah,
the gas.
It was.
And now it's all like, oh, it's really bad. You shouldn't. You're supporting like the Israeli conflict, and I'm like,
Oh,
what?
right.
I don't. How? Who?
Yeah.
So I've just been like, I'll just get the cans.
Yeah.
They're nice and fresh.
Is it an Israeli company?
I don't know.
I remember reading a list of like all the company. It was about
Because also, is
something
it
at
just?
my college. Like, did you hear that they're
I feel like it's
gonna blah, blah,
worse.
blah?
Yeah, I feel like it's worse than just that they are. This is total misinformation, but I feel like it's worse than just that they are Israeli. Like, because I've heard so many like they're doing something very bad.
right?
So I'm like,
Specifically about SodaStream.
yeah, I'm like, do they make like, I don't know, exploding
Right.
soda? I don't know. I don't know what they do.
No, I
feel
don't
very
either.
stupid, but I'm like, you know what? Maybe I don't need this soda stream. Also, it was like running out of the gas would get depleted really fast. I found. Just me? Okay.
I mean, I use it all the time, so I feel like I think I
How
give
many weeks do you get out of one of those canisters?
probably 2.
Yeah, see, that's not that much.
That's not that
And
much.
it's
Yeah,
such
but
a-
I like drink.
But that
all
was
day
how
long every
that
day.
was how I was too, and I felt like, oh, it's such a hassle to like send these things back or take
Send 'em
them
back.
someplace or switch them out.
Where
know,
do
the
you put them,
canister.
Tony?
Where do I put them?
Do you just get all new ones? You don't trade them in?
No, I trade them in, but you can go to Bed Bath and Beyond. and trade 'em in.
Yeah, I've done that a couple times, but also I'm a shut-in now. So my
See,
dog would be
I-
so upset if I was like, I got to go to Bed Bath and Beyond.
Yeah,
You could probably take them with you.
I might do that.
yeah.
Yeah,
Plus, you use
I
that 20% coupon, get yourself a nice deal.
Yeah.
All right. I'm supporting the Middle East conflict. Congress? I don't know.
Tony.
Yes.
So I didn't quite realize that you were so into sparkling water. Mm-hmm. What happens if you have to drink just flat water?
No, it's fine too.
Really?
Because I don't drink soda at all. That was like I used to drink way too much soda, and then I kind of like that was kind of my way of
Your healthy
helping
move.
Yeah, like helped ease me into
Party
getting off of
water.
soda. Yeah,
It's party water.
exactly. I hated it at first. I thought seltzer and all that was super gross the first several times I had it, but then I just sort of like
Why did you keep doing it?
because we used on tour we used to always have it in our rider because like some of the other guys drank it, and then a lot of times it was just around, and sometimes I would see that before I would see a regular water, and so I would just go for that, and then I just got used to it.
And now you can't live without it.
Yeah, I love
Or
it.
no, it sounds like you can live without it.
Yeah, but I
you just
prefer
don't-
I prefer to have it.
Got it. Well,
But I'm not anti water like you guys.
I'm getting better.
can you find the drop of how I feel about water? Do you know what one I'm talking about? Water can suck a dick. I don't like it that much.
I feel like that would not be very satisfying for the person who owns the dick.
No, it would really just feel like a bath or a shower.
Yeah.
Let's see. Rachel Phillips says, I recently got an air fryer, so I'm curious if y'all have tried it and if you or Eliza have good recipe ideas.
I have. I'm a fan of my air fryer, but I will say, so far, the only successful air frying is that I have done has been like frozen fried foods. So if you get like a bag of tater tots,
Yes. a
French
bag of
fries, yeah, obviously onion rings, fish sticks. I can keep going. Throw those in the air fryer. It's the best way you'll have them. Mm-hmm. I tried frying up other things in there, and besides that, it's just like a really hot, tiny oven. Mm-hmm. So you can't like really deep fry things, in my experience. You need to like it doesn't replicate a basket inside of oil.
Right.
But
we still have, there's a special lid you can buy for the Instant Pot, the Vortex, which turns it into an air fryer. And that is like a basket that you set in there. And we used that for a while. And then we actually recently just bought like I guess it's a small toaster convection oven, or it's kind of big actually. Yeah. Air fryer also. So we've been using that now. There's a whole world of air frying that I need to explore. I hardly ever do it. But Daniel makes all kinds of things, and he takes chicken and dips it in like egg and probably
like batters it?
Yeah, probably breadcrumbs, some kind of thing like that.
Yeah, because I tried doing batter and it was just like, no, this
really?
does not work. But yeah,
it was good when he did it.
Well, see, with breadcrumbs,
yeah,
I was just trying to do like, a beer batter sort of situation.
Yeah, no, this was breadcrumbs.
Yeah. Mm.
But still, it's like less oil than if it had actually been fried.
Sure, yeah. And
tastes pretty good.
You can get, now a lot of places have spray oil that you can just like buy already in a little can, which is nice. So you'd give it a little spritz.
That's right.
Throw it on in there. Boom. There you go.
I think that's when we started buying spray oil, was for the Instant Pot at that time. Mm-hmm. So there you go. Let's do some Just Me or Everyone.
Sometimes I ponder on something I have thought or done. Is it just me or everyone?
Okay. So, here's one. I don't see anything wrong with re-gifting, but recently a friend gave me a birthday gift and told me the things in the bag were re-gifts. My feelings were hurt because for her birthday, I gave a lot of thought about what she would like and shopped for that special thing. Because she made the effort to tell me they were things she didn't want, I couldn't help feeling it reflected on how she valued our friendship. It would have been different had she just given me the gift with no explanation. I think this is not just you. I think most people, probably everyone would feel that way.
Yeah, I think everybody would feel that way. I mean, and I don't think that it's even a matter of re-gifting or not. It's, as she said, like, don't tell her.
Right.
Like, it's like, excuse me, in case you were not clear.
I didn't think of you for this.
Yeah. I just found some stuff at home.
Right. Yes. Have you ever received a gift and wondered if it's a re-gift?
Oh, yeah.
Same.
My sister is named Emily. So every time she gives me something that just is an E, I'm like, okay.
That's funny. Okay, Leanne Ward says, because I work as an educator, I automatically think of a year in terms of a school year rather than a calendar year. For instance, when someone refers to the past year, my brain initially thinks September to June instead of January to now. Just me or everyone. I'm sure it's not just you. I bet it's other people who work. Like
I don't do that, but I do definitely have it like colored different in my head. Like you got that like lemony summer thing, and then the whole rest of the year, that's more of a taupe.
It's sort of blue for me. September is kind of blue.
Okay.
Tony, do you have colors associated with months?
I don't. I'm sorry. I can
Get out.
Yeah, I'm so sorry.
But I definitely feel like in the summer I don't have to work as hard. Or like it doesn't count, which makes absolutely no sense. It has nothing to do with my actual career path. But I'm like, well, it's summer. I'm gonna have to start working in September.
Emily Wills says, I 100% do the warm-up hello for my voice. Not weird. I will explain this. So recently on the show, I said that back in the phone call days, if I was answering the phone and I hadn't talked to anyone yet that day, or I had been napping, I'd be like, hello, before answering it. So my voice doesn't sound like
So like clearing your throat, but specifically with hello.
Just giving it a few trial hellos.
Huh.
And everyone reacted the way the people in this room are reacting right now. Like I am some kind of crazy person.
Yeah,
they had never heard this.
Done that.
Emily Wills, it's just you and me, I guess.
But I definitely have like prepared myself for like conversations I don't want to have. And that doesn't even mean like difficult ones. That just means like, oh, I have to make that call to be like, hi, how are you? Okay. Hey, hi.
I will get phrases or bits of conversation stuck in my head, and I'll just find myself cycling through them. It's not. I'm not even thinking.
Like conversations you've had, or like little phrases from media.
It really could be either. But like, let's say I need to email someone, and I need to say like, hey, thank you so much for thinking of me. As it turns out, I'm not going to be able to come. For some reason, that'll just like
go
over and over in my head.
Yeah, I've had that happen. Yeah.
And the funny thing is, my 4-year-old, he'll say something like, I'm trying to think of an example, a 4-year-old example. Let's say it's not only when declining things, but let's say he said like, oh, no, thanks, I don't want any. Then he'll just be like, no, thanks, I don't want any. No, thanks, I don't want any. No, thanks, I don't want any. It's so, maybe we're both crazy. But
I've definitely had that happen, but as I'm listening to you do it, I wonder if it's both examples that you used were somewhat musical. And it was, no thanks, I don't want any.
Right. Maybe it is that there's sort of like a...
Yeah, so you might be like also playing with this melody of the thing, like getting a song stuck in your head.
Yeah.
Because it also is not one that resolves. Like, no thanks, I don't want any. That's all. I'm not going to do that again.
Right. Yeah. Interesting. Because when Elliot does it, it's definitely sing-songy. So maybe that's... I really prefer this interpretation to whatever the other one is. Okay. Edible Intelligence says, just mirror everyone. Randomly, 5 to 10 times a day. This is very similar to what we were just talking about. In my head. Nothing gets to you. Staying fresh, staying cool. The Mentos jingle. Jingles do that.
Yeah. Especially like... well, that one's great, but also all those gum commercials from like the 80s still like
Juicy fruit.
Yeah, it's gonna do it. The juice is soft, it gets right to it. The juicy fruit, the taste is gonna move. Yeah,
I think I had forgotten about that.
take
one.
a stick,
That's the one.
pull it out,
I forgot about that
make
one.
it last a little longer. That's Big Red.
Yeah.
Give your breath long lasting freshness with Big Red. Something with double mint gum. Double fresh feeling, making you realize double mint's the one for you. I tried to get my band to do a medley of gum songs, and they were like, absolutely not. And I was like,
so
they're
cool.
bangers. But yeah, they wouldn't go for it.
Is Double Mint still around?
I don't know. All of those little teeny, like 4 sticks in a pack. I have no
Yeah.
idea.
Double Mint. They had the twins that were skiing. Well, now I'm confusing.
Ice skating. And,
Yeah. But Suzy Chapstick was also skiing.
I'm not familiar with her.
Suzy Chapstick. Tony, do you know Suzy Chapstick?
No.
Oh my God.
Remember Piper Parabo, I believe, did chapstick commercials. But
Yeah. I don't think, could you look up, I know the internet is not great in here. Could you look up Suzy
Suzy
Chapstick?
Chapstick sounds like somebody's like bully on a childhood bully on a cartoon.
Yes.
Oh no, it's Suzy Chapstick.
I really think she was like, I'm Suzy Chapstick. And it was someone who...
And I'm where all your chapstick goes. You know when you lose it and you don't know where it is? I've got it. In my satchel. Clinkety, clinkety.
First off, Double Mint apparently is still around.
Okay, thank you.
They stopped using twins for their ads and also stopped advertising, it seems.
What did you want to... Do you want to know something about her or
Suzy
hear
Chapstick?
something?
I want to find... Could you find a chapstick commercial with Suzy Chapstick?
I sure can, as long as this loads.
Let's see.
Got one right here, but it's just being real slow.
Yeah, she's the tooth fairy, but for chapstick. That's what I'm assuming.
Getting closer.
Suzy Chapstick has changed her name.
Call me Suzy Chapstick.
Hey, Suzy Chapstick.
This is real chapstick weather. So chapstick is the only name for me.
Chapstick lip balm helps keep wind and cold away from your lips.
So her real name was
Suzy Chapstick.
Keeps the natural moisture in.
Oh, not Susan Chapstick?
So when it's chapstick weather, just remember me, Suzy
Just
Chapstick.
imagine that coming up to you at a party. Like can't imagine something I would have to fast or be like, oh, I gotta go. I have to go to the bathroom or someplace else. Goodbye.
Oh, you mean like if someone came up to you and was like,
I'm Suzy Chapstick.
It's cold weather.
It's really chapstick weather, isn't it?
So
Do you guys like chapstick? Because I'm Suzy Chapstick. I'd be like, nope. No, I can't be in this conversation. I don't know where to go with it.
there seems to be some logic behind it. I mean, it's a stretch, but so her real name apparently
Is
was
she
Suzy Chaffee.
a
and she
real
was-
person?
Yeah.
Yeah,
She was an Olympic.
She had a head wound. Oh, no.
Olympic She was an Olympic ski racer.
She wasn't one of those
And
people
actress.
who's like in a coma and they wake up and they can speak French and their name is Suzy Chapstick.
Still alive, apparently. 74 years old.
Wow.
How are her lips?
Never been wetter.
Ew! That's not the word we use. Moisturized is fine.
I don't know. Is that a whole lot better?
But for me, it is because I don't hate the word moist like a lot of people. But definitely wet is not like.
How about this? They've never been slicker.
That's nice. Yeah. Imagine if the chapstick commercial was like, "You need to keep your lips wet." Ick. Oh.
And then some guy was like, no, that's my job.
Ew. The older I get, the more I find everything sexual to be disgusting.
You are correct.
I'm reacting like
It's
a
gross
child.
and weird. I
It's
mean, can you
grody.
think about it's so weird. Like, I mean, you don't go around like sticking your finger in flowers and being like, you like that? Like, but we do that to each other when
I
we
know.
care about one another? No.
I'm watching The Sopranos. I never ever finished it, and I'm in the process of finishing it now. I make it sound like I'm like putting a new deck on my house or something, but I'm assuming you guys both watched it.
Yes. At the beginning of the pandemic. That was the
Oh,
first
you
time.
did?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I feel like that was a big rewatch show for a lot of people.
It was a first watch.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I had tried watching it a few times and it never grabbed me. And then I was like, I guess I'll give this dumb thing a I love it.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, I'm in the ooh, I love it.
Yeah.
Like I just discovered something that everyone else didn't discover for themselves a long time ago. But did you notice that Tony, when he kisses people, uses a lot of tongue and it's pretty gross?
No.
Yeah, there's just been a couple episodes where there's
That's
a
not
lot
what
of
I
like,
watched it for, but wow.
I don't need to see.
I want to clarify. You, Tony Soprano.
That's right,
Yes,
James
okay.
Gandolfini.
Yes. Just want to make sure
Excellent.
no listeners
Yes.
think you're talking about.
No.
Yes.
That's
Yeah, that was a real zag.
I
We're
know
talking
that I'm
about Sopranos one moment, and then suddenly we're just like
right talking about Tony.
tearing up a
Tony
very
and his
intimate
wet
part
lips.
of Tony's life.
Tony, make that a drop, even though you don't want to. Thank you very much. Yes, I've just seen James Gandolfini. I've seen his tongue, and I didn't want to.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well,
R.I.P.
yeah, and not the worst story in Hollywood. It
You're
ends
right.
With, and I've seen starts with I've seen and ends with and I didn't want to.
You're right. I think I just accidentally tweeted. Okay. My hands touch. Okay. Jen T says, when I unpack from a trip, I often leave my travel items, travel deodorant, toothpaste, body wash, etc., in my suitcase so they're already packed for my next trip.
I do that.
That's so smart.
I do that.
It is so smart. I don't do that. I really should do that. I remember it used to
What
be.
do you do with it? Do you like? Because do you have like little versions of things?
Yes.
Okay.
I don't leave them in the suitcase though. I bring the little tote, the little like case that has all of them back into my bathroom. And then some of them were just full size ones that I had just stuffed in there.
Okay, so you got a mix.
I have I've got a
situation
hybrid.
happening.
Yeah. But it used to be when I would go on a trip, part of the stress of packing was like getting out the little travel containers and filling them with all my stuff. And then at one point I did have that aha moment of like when I was traveling more frequently, like just have your travel stuff. And then it's not going to be this whole thing ahead of time.
Yeah. I will say I have way too much travel stuff. I've got like a whole tote thing that's just full of little sized things that I can supposedly replenish my travel, my actual in my suitcase thing. Because I did a corporate for Colgate years ago, and they just gave me all this stuff. And also Colgate owns like a bunch of other companies too. So we're not just talking toothpaste. We're talking little bits of everything.
Nice.
But really that's an albatross. It's like I don't I don't need that.
But you can't get rid of it because what if you do need it? Yeah.
Exactly. But like I would have to travel so long to use all of this stuff, and you can't give it to people because I've tried. I've been like, hey,
That's a
who wants
real
a teeny
regift.
tiny deodorant? And people are like, no one.
But also, that's like, what are you trying to tell me? If you
That's
give someone a
true.
teeny tiny deodorant.
That's true. I had some friends help me write for this corporate, and I was like, look, I brought you back all this Toms of Maine nonsense, and they were like, we don't want any of it. And I'm like, oh, well, never mind.
I feel like you can get some takers for that. I mean, not right now, but
Yeah. Also, I've opened all of it and put my
Oh.
fingers into it.
Never mind then.
Yeah. Mm.
Tony,
Yes.
what about your travel toiletry situation?
I am also a little bit of a mix.
hybrid.
The smaller stuff will stay, not necessarily in my suitcase, but in the little like toiletry bag, and then that might just like stay in my bathroom then. But usually, though, what often will happen is then someday if I run out of my normal size thing, then I'm like,
you
oh
dip
yeah, I
in.
have
Yes.
some of this, and then I'll end
Yeah.
up going through it. But also, I didn't usually buy a ton of the small things because I used to just be on tour so much. So like, I needed the bigger things.
Yeah, because you would
for so
do,
long.
and you guys would do bus.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I think we all started getting into the smaller things because the flight restrictions. You know,
Yeah.
Oh yes,
used to
I'd
be able to bring
forgotten.
full size stuff on a plane. Can't do that.
Right.
Blow up the plane with that shampoo.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, I'd even fly. But then, I'd still, because I was gone for so long, it'd be a suitcase, so it'd be
Oh, so you'd
like
be checking
checking
it.
it anyways. So
Yeah.
When I moved back from New York, I got rid of a lot of stuff that I didn't need to get rid of, but I kept a lot of stuff that I should have tossed. It was a real.
I mean, that's the
mishmash.
story of every move. I
Every
think
move is
that's-
traumatic.
That's a universal. That should be a just me, and I will say it is not just
Yeah.
you. Everybody, yeah.
I got rid of
keeps way
so
too
much
stuff.
kitchen stuff. Like, did I think I was never gonna have a kitchen again?
I
It's really
moved-
weird.
I was engaged to a guy who lived in New York. We were engaged, and I came out here first, so I left most of my stuff there, and then we broke up. And so a lot of my stuff I was like, well, I guess put it out on the street.
You couldn't go back and get it, or you didn't want it. It didn't seem worth it.
Kind of both.
Yeah.
A little of both, yeah. So yeah, I'd lost a lot of stuff in that move. I had some of it packed up and taken to my sister's, and it's still in storage in her place. I should check that. But yeah, the rest of it, I've like paid some friends to just get rid of it.
Yeah.
And he was like, get this stuff out of my place right now. And I was like, oh, I don't even, you know what? I'll take this as an opportunity for cleansing.
Yeah.
Start over.
You got Marie Kondoed.
I did.
Against your will.
I did.
What-
Every now and then I'm like, oh, I miss that framed picture of a monkey. But that's about it.
That sucks, though. Did we talk about this when you were last on? Because we did a real for people who need more. I did a
was like
real
therapy
deep dive.
one.
Yeah. Go look at that episode.
yeah,
that was
it ended up being
couple
like
years
a
ago.
real. It was good. I really started over here, and I had a little apartment, a little studio apartment with nothing in it except a bed on the floor and some Bloom County and Far Side collections that I bought at the Iliad, and a TV. And like that was it. And that was good. It's kind of good to like purge. And I had already gone through all this stuff there and been like, these are the things I really need on my move in New York. So like I took the important stuff.
But I mean, did that suck to break up
Oh, yeah.
unexpectedly like that?
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, it wasn't completely unexpectedly. Like I had moved to California. And
I
he
thought.
hadn't.
I guess the part I
No, yeah. I mean, we
missed.
weren't.
I thought the plan was he was going to follow you.
it was. Yeah, that
Okay.
was the plan. But also at the same time, not the sign of a great situation. If
Yeah.
one person's like, I'm going to go across the country, and then at some point you're going to come too. We'll make this work.
Right.
Because yeah, I was trying to have a career in New York, and there just wasn't work there for me. And so I was like, oh my gosh, and I was staying there for him because he had a job there that he worked for his parents, and he was like, I can't leave it for a few years. So I was like, oh, okay, I'll wait it out. And then I was like, I'm waiting out like my youth here, and I'm going to be too old for getting work if I keep waiting this
Yeah.
out. And I'm not completely confident that he's actually going to come. So I'm going to go, and then he'll follow. And then he did not. So.
But was it like an angry breakup?
No. Well, I think he was a little angry, but I also don't. We tried and it just didn't work out. Nobody cheated on anybody. Nobody lied to anybody. It just like eventually we very much wanted different things. Like he wanted to be in New York.
Right.
I wanted to be out here. Yeah. And he's, as far as I know, very happy and has a totally different type of life now.
Does he still work for his parents?
I believe so, yes.
Well, I feel like you should just buy a framed photo of a monkey.
I know, right? Yeah, but honestly, that's the only thing that I'm like, oh, that thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's good then.
Yeah.
Eliza, it was so nice to have you back on. It was nice to catch up with you. Everyone, buy tickets to July 16th, Eliza Skinner hosting your late night show tonight, I think.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
Link will be in the episode summary of this on AllisonRosen.com, but also you could just go to nowherecomedy.com is where we
believe so.
think you go
Yeah.
to buy tickets. So don't miss out on that. It's going to be great. Tell them what else they should be looking out for if there's anything else you want to plug.
Well, I'm on Twitter at Eliza Skinner and Instagram at @eskins. I think I have a new podcast coming out shortly with my boyfriend.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, called Death Spiral. It's about us playing board games, which we do a lot. He's a fledgling game designer. So keep your eyes peeled for that. It's funny.
That sounds awesome. I'm an Amazon influencer. I don't know if you guys know this about me, but if you go to amazon.com/shop/Allison Rosen, amazon.com/shop/Allison Rosen, put together all these curated lists of things that I love and that I use and that I recommend. You can shop my podcast gear. Although there's a new microphone that has just come out that am I going to add it to my list? I don't know. That's why you got to just go there to see. Will the Shure MV7. Do you know about this microphone, Tony?
No.
It has a USB and an XLR output. And I think it's like a smaller version of the Shure SM7B. Will it make my list? I don't know.
Oh, I can't wait to find it.
I know, everyone. Yeah. That was some real tech talk for the
yeah.
people who are But anyway, the point being, I've got my podcasting gear on there, question mark on the new microphone. I've got kids stuff, Daniel's Corner, house stuff, candles, food and drink, all sorts of fun stuff. Go there. Again, patreon.com/Allison Rosen. Also, I know that you guys know this, but do you know it? I have a book out, Tropical Attire and Courage and Other Phrases That Scare Me. And I was looking at it the other night and I was like, this is actually pretty good. So I think maybe it's just been a while since I've read my own writing and reminded myself that I am a writer, but just buy it. Maybe you'll agree with me that it's good. I don't know. And follow me on Twitter and Instagram at Allison Rosen. And if you like what you're hearing, 5 stars, please. I'm just thirsty at this point.
No, you're doing your job. Part of your job is promo.
That's right.
You're being a responsible worker.
I'm being responsible. Just like Moltisanti said, I think it was him. I'm a soldier. But what I'm a soldier for is Allison Rosen is your new best friend.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And also childish. Just make sure you're subscribed or following in whatever app you're in, and then you'll get it automatically. You don't have to think about it every week. You probably know how to get a podcast. You've made it this far. But in case you just arrived, thank you for listening. I love you. Tony, what about you?
I'm on Twitter and Instagram at
Tony Thaxton.
and my podcast Bizarre Albums every Tuesday, and I'll promote waking up early, not 5 a.m. early, but wake up early.
Oh, I have an album regarding my lovers. You can get that. It's funny. It's my stand-up and music, and you can watch Earth to Ned on Disney Plus. That's my TV show.
And Jordan Morris writes on that too, right?
Yeah, he was one of my writers.
I really like the title regarding my lovers.
Thank you.
That's funny. I need to go check that out. Thank you so much for being on the show. Listeners, thank you for listening. I love you. You matter. Goodbye.
Hey, do you know about the Allison Rosen show. We had a good time, but now we gotta go.